Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everyone. Let us know in the chat where you are chiming in from. We are presenting from you live. Both of us, we're not in the same place, but we're both in Las Vegas. So just let us know that you can hear us and you can see us, and we'll go ahead and get started. I see a couple of you guys are here. So welcome to another expert speaker webinar hosted by NACAP Pros. I'm Naomi Granger, and I will be your moderator today. Looks like we got somebody from Knoxville, Tennessee. All right, so if this is your first time, this is actually our 5th session in our Tech Stack Summit. And so if you would like to take a look at that summit, you can catch the replays by joining NACAP Pros, and I will drop a link in the chat in a little bit so that you can join there. But we've had Alleaves, we've had BioTrack, we've had Palient. We've had a couple of really good speakers to help you better understand technology in the cannabis industry. But today we have a special guest. We have Sean Kennedy of Palomino Consulting, and he will be presenting to us Racetrack. Racetrack is a proprietary data transformation platform developed by Palomino Consulting to bridge the gap between cannabis point of sale systems and accounting software, which is if you spent any time in the cannabis industry, you'll know that this is a huge pain point. This is a great solution that is very needed in this industry. And one of the key drivers and main reasons why I'm so excited to have Sean here is because Sean is actually an accountant. And I have been on so many tech calls with the POS systems during my time in the cannabis industry, working with tech professionals that aren't accountants trying to get an accounting report, and it's a nightmare. So this Racetrack was designed by accountants for accountants. It simplifies reconciliation, enforces data consistency, and supports multi-location operators with reliable audit-ready reporting. All right, and so with that, I am going to turn this over to Sean Kennedy, and he has a presentation ready for us.
Hi, everyone. Really, thank you so much, Naomi, for having me on. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk more about this and ultimately to share Racetrack with your group. You have a very good reputation out in the market. So I figured we can just kind of start with a little bit of introduction on myself and kind of how Racetrack came to exist. So my name's Sean Kennedy. I'm a fractional CFO, and I'm the founder of Racetrack. I've been working in the cannabis space since 2020, when one of my clients entered the Nevada market through a receivership here, and we basically operated the dispensary on behalf of the courts, and then led it to a successful auction where we ended up acquiring it after the fact. So just so you have a little bit of history behind me, I've held a controller level accounting positions since I was 18 years old. I was the controller of the first court-appointed dispensary receivership in the state of Nevada, which is the CW Nevada receivership. I'm a board member and fractional CFO for Wallflower Cannabis House here in Nevada. We have 2 locations, and I'm also the founder of Racetrack, which currently integrates 200 plus live dispensaries. So I can give you a little bit of background on kind of how Racetrack came to be. So Racetrack was more or less created because I started to build a consultancy, and I had basically a staff member that was almost entirely dedicated to just entering daily information, and I got really, really tired of that. And so as time went on, we kind of scoped out what developing something that fit my needs would be, and through that process, we ended up kind of creating a piece of software that ended up in the market. So originally, this was not intentionally developed to sell. It was actually something that I was just going to use internally to pick up more accounting clients, and that it kind of just grew into something else that I didn't really expect it to. So Racetrack, at its core, is really just a private transformation tool. It's designed for QuickBooks Online and various different cannabis point of sale systems. What we're trying to do is create, more reliable and easy to use infrastructure for your reporting. Most accountants are importing information either on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, and there's kind of these complicated journal entries that have to happen, and it kind of takes away from your ability to look at mid-month, look at kind of get a real feel for like what your cash flow is in the business. And so, this is an integration that updates daily, and ultimately just creates a little bit more of an ease for, tax professionals, accounting professionals, fractional CFOs, whoever's kind of in control of that dispensary's financial health. So one of the primary kind of the three pillars of what Racetrack is trying to accomplish is efficiency. I went from personally spending a lot of time in these files, and once we turned this integration on, we saw a fairly significant decrease in time being spent by me and my staff. What was taking us a very, very long time to accomplish, probably about 40 hours a week in some instances, became about 4 or 5 hours worth of, checking the integration, attaching documents to things that the integration already imported, things like that. So it really created a significant efficiency on the accounting side. We automate all daily above the line accounting. So that's going to be, sales, discounts, any revenue fees, any cost of goods, any inventory, and then any taxes that would hit your balance sheet. We also lay the foundation for further accounting automation depending on the scale of the dispensary. We can also integrate to things like cash recyclers if there is an option to do so, but that all depends on client scale typically. So reliability. Importing raw point of sale data will definitely crash your QuickBooks Online. QuickBooks Online as a platform, really does not like to have a lot of data in it or a lot of individual data. It really likes summarized data that's fed into it a certain way. That's why if you load too much in, your QuickBooks file will become slow, and over enough time, it'll, if you have enough transactions in there, it'll just slow down altogether. So, we're summarizing point of sale data to minimize the QuickBooks load, and ultimately to make the API calls as efficient as possible. We're streamlining payables by ensuring QuickBooks always matches the point of sale. So that means if you're receiving product inventory into the point of sale, it's going to come over into QuickBooks depending on what you enter there. And that's with all point of sale partners that we integrate with currently. And then consistency in data, right? It allows you to see when things are being altered, when maybe something's happening at the inventory level that might not be visible if you were just looking at it through the point of sale. So reliability is kind of pillar number 2. And optimized reporting. So we import every morning at 6 a.m. For the prior day's information. And that's just 6 a.m. of the user's time. So it varies depending on where you are. It's not like a fixed time, but it's 6 a.m. in your local time zone. This allows you to get daily reports and really run your financials day by day if you choose to. You can be as detailed as you want within your reporting. And then really just allows you to make better choices and eliminate human error that might come from, exporting these reports, trying to upload these reports manually or through the import function of QuickBooks. It's directly and automatically importing into the system based on your settings. You don't have to look at it or check it. And if it ever fails or something happens with your file, it will automatically ping you, and then one of our support members would be reaching out to you. So one thing we also, there's a couple of things we also do, I shouldn't say one thing. So we are also able to replicate the environment to have multiple locations flow into a single file. So if you're an operator who wants to have, they have 5 stores, but you want to have one legal entity and you want to keep it all in the same set of books, we can actually do that through a little bit of custom onboarding stuff that we do. So we can feed all 5 keys into the same file by either locations, or we can do them by classes. Depends on how your file's set up. We can also merge discounts into sales. That depends on what your compliance situation is like with the state that you're in. Some operators prefer to not show any discounts. And then we will also break down sales into, however many master categories you have or parent categories. So as far as data transformation goes, there's kind of 2 core functions that we're automating here. So we have the 4 point of sales up above that we're currently integrating with, which is Dutchie, Flowhub, COVA, and Alleaves. We have other platforms that we're currently in either partnership discussions with or in development with, and we'll talk about those later in the presentation. But this is really as far as accounting automation goes, what we're doing. So any inventory received into the system of any of these points of sale is going to come over as an accounts payable bill. That's going to be a one-to-one connection with your manifest. And then on the transaction side, we're going to pull in any tax transactions, any cost of good transactions, any inventory transactions. We can do summarized sales data, broken down sales data in a couple different ways. And then any kind of non-cash transactions that you have will be basically parsed independently if you choose to have that turned on. And we can also backfill this information. So if you're an account that's just coming on to a client, right, and you say this client's been open for 7 months and you're just now getting in, they haven't done any work, if you reach out to us, we will historically backfill that module. That's something we do for free if you're an active client. So if you just want the integration to run forward, we can import all 7 months worth of that previous data for free and just get you turned on. So as far as received inventory goes, we create a summarized QuickBooks bill for any inventory received through the point of sale. And we set these default inventory transactions to an inventory target account of your choice. This is adjustable and can be moved around however you need to move it around. And we pre-populate the vendor's names based on the vendor name from the point of sale system. We also have a two-way piece that I didn't actually include here, but if you maintain the naming of the vendors as the point of sale would like you to keep them, we will actually also look for your terms in the vendor's name in your QuickBooks system, and then populate the bill with those adjusted terms. We also have a setting where we can just default a blanket net 30 for all if you'd prefer to, but we actually can look at the QuickBooks file and see for that customer or see for that vendor, what your terms are if you have net 15, net 20, whatever it is. And we can pre-populate that and load it in with these bills as things load into the system.
Hey, Sean, so I'm looking at this. So the description, so this is all the lines of the inventory in one line?
Yes.
All the lines of the invoice? Okay.
Yes. So we're not going to we don't import any product level information. We keep everything summarized, and basically we treat the inventory in QuickBooks the way that the point of sale treats inventory, which is received inventory increases the value of inventory, right? Usage decreases it, adjustments decrease it, error and destruction decreases it, right? And then you should end up with your ending balance. So we're basically mirroring exactly what the point of sale is doing, just on a summary basis.
Okay.
So this is actually also a great resource for if you feel like you're having a lot of inventory problems, meaning you feel like your margin's not accurate in the point of sale, because what this will do is it will basically force an accounting procedure where you have to check these manifests against the physical invoices you have, and you'll start to be able to notice who's basically creating errors within your system. And so it's a great way to point out maybe intake issues that you might be having and fixing them long term so that your data is more intact. So for as far as transactions go, this is what we populate every day for a sales receipt. So every day at 6 a.m. you're going to get a sales receipt that's going to contain a bunch of different products and service items that we create in your QuickBooks file. None of these are locked in place, meaning like if you have integrations maybe with other GL providers where you're forced to basically lock those line items to an account, we do not make you do that. All of our product and services that we import can be adjusted within the QuickBooks module, so you don't actually have to go anywhere else outside of your file to change where an account's home is, which I can kind of walk through separately after this. But it basically, each one of these items matches an item that the point of sale reflects as either a tax, a sale, a non-revenue fee, or an inventory-related cost of goods entry, right? So this screenshot that I have taken here is from a Dutchie environment, right? So we have sales, loyalty, tips, revenue fees, right? We've got the 3 different types of taxes. We've got, cost of goods sold for the profit and loss. And then we've got the cost of goods sold that's decreasing the inventory account. And then we've got, more discounts, any types of debit, arrow pay, any kind of third-party merchants that might not be directly integrated with the point of sale.
So, okay, this is something that I see common as well. You put the debit in there. There may also be, so this is just what comes from the POS system. So if the debit processor charges a fee, we wouldn't see that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that you would have to look at the statements from the merchant. But what this will create for you is a clearing account where you can basically see what the merchant owes you at any given time. And it'll be very easy to tell if that account is out of whack, right? Because it'll more or less, if your store is having consistent sales, that clearing account number is going to be fairly predictable, right? It shouldn't really move. You might move a day in one direction or a day in another direction, but there's going to be kind of a max balance you set in those accounts. And so then at the end of each month, instead of having to, post a bunch of daily entries or true up your balance, all you have to do is just check your merchant portal, right? Find out how many fees they charged you and make a journal entry and make sure that the balance more or less reconciles with what you think it would be, and you're done. Mm-hmm. So, and we can also isolate this by merchant. So if you're in a Dutchie environment or a COVA environment, or if you have 4 different merchants, right? Like let's say any of the point of sales, you have 4 different merchants and they're all hitting 4 different areas like debit, credit, check, alternate payment, custom alternate payment type. We can separate all of those into their own individual clearing accounts. So what ends up happening is that, at least in environments I've seen and been a part of and cleaned up after the fact, a lot of the times all of those things kind of get bulked together. And then it's impossible to see if a payment method fails, right? It's basically impossible to go back and figure out how much money they owe you. In this instance, if you're running it this way, if a merchant ever goes down and fails out, you'll pretty much know exactly to the number what they owe you. Okay. So. And then just to give kind of a screenshotted example here for products and services, basically what we do is we leverage this products and services module inside QuickBooks. And each one of these services has a target income account here. And this can be posted wherever you would like to post it. And it can move everything around your financial statements with 2 clicks of a button. So during an onboarding, we will go in and do this with you. And then if you ever want to change it, you can either call us or we can teach you how to do it. But really, you just change this target income account, and then all of our imports will just hit that account automatically because we're going to preload the sales receipts with these services. So whenever it sees the service Clark County Tax, it's going to push it to an account that we've associated on the balance sheet for Clark County tax liability in this instance. And then same thing with sales. And while this is an income account, you can map this to any type of account within the QuickBooks environment you choose to. And you can also alter all of your historical stuff this way. Meaning, like, if you say you wanted to move all of your sales from one account to another, you don't have to call us. You can just change the target income account. It will migrate everything over, and you don't have to. It's much simpler to do it this way than it is to lock GL in place, in my mind. And then this is something that Naomi had kind of touched on before. But we take any sale or return transaction marked as debit in the point of sale and we summarize it. This creates kind of a pseudo journal entry on the sales receipt, and basically we post those numbers every day and monitor them in a 14-day window looking back in time. Any questions, Naomi, on that?
No. Yeah, that makes sense. So it's almost like if you just have a debit and a checking, you would in essence have 4 accounts. So one would be the clearing, and then as you actually see the deposits hit your checking account, you would reverse that into your actual account.
Yep. So you're basically it's a transfer from undeposited funds to the bank account in your bank feed. Okay. So think of the clearing accounts as just undeposited funds accounts. Yeah. So there's also an interesting kind of thing that happens with these debit merchants where, because we're in the industry we're in, they also don't run midnight to midnight. So you have to there's always a floating balance of like 12 hours or like 8 hours or something that you really need to continue to account for, because they're running like 3 p.m. to 3 p.m. or they're running 1 p.m. to 1 p.m. or 11 a.m. to 11 a.m. but your business day is midnight to midnight, right? So and it's different for each merchant.
Mm-hmm.
So we're currently in development on a Swede integration as well. We also are walking through a Indica point of sale or Indica Online point of sale integration as well. It's just we're not papered all the way yet, but I would imagine we'll be papered here in the week. So if anyone also has Swede, we'll add Swede into that mix. We've had a lot of requests for Swede over the course of the past maybe 3 or 4 months as they've come into the market. And pricing. So as far as pricing goes, if you are a firm, right, typically this is kind of how we approach pricing. And we have 1 to 2 locations at $175 per month, especially if you're a member of NACAT. We're going to bring some of those costs down. We have 3 to 4 locations being $150, 5 to 9 locations being $125, and 10 plus locations somewhere around $100 a location.
Okay. So I guess how does it work? So since you guys are already partnered with COVA and several POS system providers, it's not automatic. It's still a separate account
Yes.
with you. Okay.
So from my understanding, and this is another kind of fun piece of the cannabis world, is that these providers cannot integrate with Intuit directly. So that's as I understand it, Intuit, it's against their terms of service to directly integrate with a lot of these companies.
Oh, so there has to be a middle.
Yeah. So whenever they apply for an Intuit developer account of some kind, it gets shut down.
Okay.
That's why it's not offered, really. And I've had to do some working around on my side to make sure that it's compliant with the terms of service. But because I'm a third party, and I also flow other types of data that aren't just cannabis data through this. We have software companies that also use Racetrack for custom integrations. It's kind of a broader use case than just the point of sale integrations themselves.
Okay, so there was a question that came in through the registration process. Do you integrate, or what are your plans about working with GrowFlow or trees?
Yep. Trees, we haven't worked through. We've actually had talks with them in the past, but I'd be open-minded. So we do have the ability to reach out. We've kind of limited it based on market demand, right? So we've targeted the companies that have the most market demand right now. I know Trees is pretty large in California. We just don't have as much California business as we do, New York, New Jersey, more emerging markets. However, we do have a couple California clients, but majority is on the East Coast and the Midwest.
So what would it take? So say, for instance, I had, a bunch of clients in California and I wanted it. What would it take for it to make sense for you to go forward with working on the integration?
Oh, just as long as we have like 3 or 4 people that are good to onboard and, plan on staying for a little bit. Integrations take about 4 months to completely spin up. So every time I choose to onboard or choose to partner with a new point of sale, I basically have to give up 4 months of development time. So I kind of just like to make everyone aware, right? It's probably about a month for deal making, 2 months for development, and then a month for testing.
Got it. Okay. And then I think people may, just to understand, because I have a client on desktop and I know it doesn't work with desktop. So if you could just help us understand why that's so complicated.
So desktop is an interesting beast because it doesn't like API connection. Like it doesn't want API connectivity. Intuit, it feels like when you download desktop and when you kind of start going through it, it seems like they don't want you to use it. And so they've taken up support for certain things that like maybe would have been more common in desktop and have now moved them more to the online version or the enterprise suite. And so with the desktop version, we can actually do it. It's just that it's complicated. So on the online version, I get your API key, I plug you in and I turn you on and we all walk away and you probably never talk to me again. Like it's very straightforward and it works the way it's supposed to. The desktop one is a little bit different because we basically have to create a server on your machine. We then have to flow all of that data into the server that's hosted on your machine. And then it adds like another month because my developer basically has to go into your environment, create a server, and then use this kind of custom bridge software to merge that data into your file. And the way that QuickBooks on desktop, since it doesn't want a direct API connection, we can't just flow data via the API into the software. We actually have to load it into your file. Like we actually have to alter the file behind the scenes and load it through. So it's not that it can't be done. However, it's a lot more expensive to onboard, right? There's a lot of extra kind of bells and whistles that you have to pay for to get it turned on. And it's not if you're only doing the dispensary retail accounting, like you don't need it. Online will do the job just fine.
Right. And so help us understand, because we know that QuickBooks has recently launched an enterprise suite thing. So is the process the same no matter what online system your client is using?
Yep, because all Intuit QuickBooks accounts use the same API infrastructure. So any app that's connected to the store will function.
Okay. And then now, once this is done, do we ever have to log into Racetrack to do anything, or is everything, we just log into QuickBooks and we should have everything that we need?
Not typically. So I can actually show you what the back end looks like. So let me go here. I had it pulled up.
Because the last thing we want is another system to have to log into and reconcile.
No. So this is the Racetrack UI.
This means that, hold on, let me share your screen. Okay, go for it.
So this is the Racetrack UI. This is really only accessed during onboarding. And the reason we've kind of done things this way is we want to keep you out of this environment as much as possible. This is really just more of an admin panel, right? So we have any QuickBooks accounts that you have, actively connected, right? We've got any active integrations that, depending on the system you might be using. We have, your time zone, your basis, whether you're on cash or accrual. We have whatever API key you're using. And then this is where we kind of configure all these settings that ultimately get broken down in the user interface of QuickBooks so that you don't have to be here before, or you don't have to be here after you turn it on. So the only time that we'll typically have a client come back is if they say they're in this light mode setting, right? And they have no broken down detail. So in this client's environment, they have all of their sales summarized into a single category, right? It's not broken out by cannabis or non-cannabis. It's not broken down by product category. This is the most simple version of the integration. So the sales receipts look like this, right? There's 15 lines, right? And there's not like concentrate sales or flower sales or anything broken out or discounts broken out by type, right? So this is kind of the most general version of the integration you get. Most of the time when we end up back in this environment, it's because the client either wants more visibility or less visibility. And if that is the case, since you've already been mapped out, if you choose to, upgrade, all you do is just shoot us an email. We'll configure the settings for you as you kind of would prefer to see them, and then we'll rip out the data we imported and reload it if you need it.
Okay, and so is that part, like, is there additional fees if
Nope.
ever is
Nope.
part of your monthly? Okay.
Nope. So we don't charge onboarding fees. We don't charge. We don't do any of that. It's a fixed monthly rate, and we no onboarding fees, no ongoing customer service fees. The goal is to have you not think about this once you turn it on.
Yeah.
And then we can also turn off all of these modules individually, right? So say you just wanted to do the AP import, right? Like we can turn these things off and turn them on.
Got it.
By the type. So I'll stop sharing.
Now, typically when you're doing the onboarding, do you just work with the business owner, or do you typically work with the accountant? Because I would imagine that I would have a say in how I want this to be set up.
Yes. So most of the time, the owner doesn't really care, unless the owner happens to have some finance background. But yeah, most of the time, where we kind of have encountered a lot of different accounting professionals is like firms will take this and configure how they want this to work for their entire client base. Right. So a lot of the times, like if a client's contracting with a larger firm and that firm happens to vend with us, we're just going to follow that accounting firm's exact settings all the way through. So if you're an accounting provider with like 10 clients and you have a say in the way the chart of accounts is set up, then we can just maintain that exact structure the entire time and never change it. We can also copy those settings over to each environment over and over and over again if you wanted to. So yes, there's not if the owner wants to be involved, typically they're not, unless it's a really small operation.
Got it. Okay, cool. All right. Well, I don't see any questions. Let us know if you guys have any questions in the comments. Is anybody working with any clients on Racetrack? So is it typically the accountant who brings you, the client doesn't volunteer, the accountant just says, hey, you need this, and then that's how you, okay.
Yeah. Or their accountant will be like, or the owner will be like, why is my bill so big for my accountant? And then they'll be like, oh, well, it's because it's not integrated, right? And then the client will reach out to the point of sale and be like, hey, can I get this integrated? And then they will reach out.
Oh, got it. Okay, got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, or you're at a firm and it's coming as part of the package.
Got it. Okay. All right. Well, it looks like there's no comments. This was a pretty quick one. Give you guys back 29 minutes of your life if there aren't any questions. I'll give you one more second to pop them in there because sometimes there's a delay. All right, awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Awesome. Well, you guys all take care, and I'll see you guys in the next presentation. Bye.
Bye.